Hey guys, it's Jason, and welcome to my apartment. So, originally I did a video for Concrete 101 in the truck, and I realized that I didn't have enough information for you to actually do this video correctly. So, what I did instead was that I made an entire, I actually scrapped that video, and now I'm doing it again right here. So, what today's episode is about is whether you should DIY concrete or you shouldn't DIY concrete. Now, just for preface, what this is going to entail and the example that I'm going to give is going to be a 6 foot by 6 foot by 5 inch pad in a backyard. Okay, that's what we're going off of right now. Okay, I could just give you the totals and whatnot, but we're going to look at three main categories: time and effort, money, and convenience. Those are the three things. So, and we're going to have three options on top of that. So we're going to have professionally done, i.e. you hire a company and then they do it all for you. Semi-DIY, where the only thing that you hire a company for is literally the concrete. And full DIY, where you don't do that, where you just do everything. You mix the concrete yourself and you buy the tools and everything. So the semi DIY and the full DIY are also going to have the tools in there because you're going to need them anyway. So option number one for making this concrete pad by using a contractor. Firstly, you just call up a contractor, get a quote for it. Most likely it's going to range anywhere from between $500 and $600. That's about your price range, but you don't have to worry about finishing it. You don't have to worry about brooming it, making it all nice and everything. You don't have to worry about putting it down. You just call a company, make sure that you're home, and then they'll do it, and you give them all the access and whatnot. So it's going to be about $600 for that one. The semi-DIY option. The semi-DIY option starts to include where you are literally buying things, and this is where the effort for you starts. So, one of the first things that you're going to need, both for the full DIY and semi-DIY option, is a concrete hand float. And I'll put an image of that on the screen. And as I say these things, I'll put images on the screen for them. So, you're going to need a concrete hand float. You're going to need a concrete rake. And you're going to need a finishing trowel. So those are just the concrete tools that you're going to need specifically for the concrete itself. Now, in this price and all these other things, I also include things that you're going to need from a big box store such as Lowe's or Home Depot, which is a square shovel, a round shovel, and a wheelbarrow. For those tools that I mentioned beforehand, the concrete tools, you're going to be spending about $95 on them. Those are the cheapest ones I could find that are reputable brands. You're going to spend $95 on them. And you can order those on Amazon. If you find a cheaper deal, then you find a cheaper deal, and then you can do it that way. But from my research, it was $95. Big box store, because you need a square shovel and round shovel, that's $28 for the both of them, so that way that you have it. And the next thing that you need is a wheelbarrow. Now, a wheelbarrow, the one that I picked is a reputable brand that a lot of contractors use in my area, which is a Jackson wheelbarrow. Jackson wheelbarrow is $150. Now, that may seem like a lot for, a thing that just moves stuff, and it may seem unnecessary, but you're going to need a way to move the concrete from where it's at into where it's going, or you're going to need it for the prep work when you grade the surface. Okay, so in total, the big box store tools, probably about $178. Okay. So after that, you're going to need something to frame and various other materials. So this slab of concrete is going to be about 5 inches thick. An inch of it is going to be in the ground. So you're going to get 2x4s. You're going to need 4 2x4s by 8 feet. Okay, just so that you can frame it up. You're also going to need rebar. You're going to need about 20-ish feet of rebar so you can stake the rebar, or stake the 2x4s down so that they don't move when you put the concrete inside the thing. Which, the wood's about $40, the rebar's about $15, and then you're going to need about 3 cubic feet for rock bedding. So, when you put down a thing of concrete, you want to put some rock on the bottom of it. So after you grade the surface flat, so you make it flat, take out dirt an inch down, and then make it flat, you need to replace that with something that the concrete will be able to grab onto, rather than just dirt. Because you've put just dirt on there, even though this concrete slab will be about 1,000 pounds, technically somebody could or something could just lift it right off the ground. Okay, so you don't want to have just nothing there. So you want about 3/8 inch rock bedding, about an inch of it. So that's what the inch will take up. That's going to be about $70 for 3 cubic feet to make a nice, even rock bed for your concrete to go down. Now, this is where the prices differ. So with materials, so far our total is up to about $300 just for the semi DIY option. If you go to the semi DIY option, you don't need the rest of this stuff that I'm about ready to list. The rest of the semi DIY option would be that you get a company like mine, have a concrete truck come out and give you a yard. Most companies want a yard minimum. This 6x6 foot pad is a half a yard, so you're gonna have extra concrete. And you can adjust it so that it's a little bit bigger, but obviously your prices on the materials are going to go up in order to do that. So, so right now we're at about $300 just with tools and materials that you'll need. Semi DIY option, $100 a yard. So you're at about almost $500 for the semi DIY option. Okay, so that's $100 less than having a contractor, most likely. Okay, now if you're doing it fully yourself, you're gonna have to buy concrete. Okay, so if you get 80-pound bags, you're gonna need 6 of them for this pour, and that's overestimating a little bit so you have enough. You're gonna need 60 of them, which is gonna be $32, and then you're gonna need something to mix it up. Now technically you could mix it bag by bag into the wheelbarrow, which that's an option if you wanted to do that, but I'm assuming that you don't necessarily want to do all the shovel movements and whatnot, and you're just going to rent a concrete mixer, like a little small concrete mixer. And from my research that I did, it's about $50 a day. Okay, so now I'll just quickly recap all of this. So the full DIY option, you're probably looking anywhere from $600 to $800 for a company, or rather, the professional option, you're looking from $600 to $800 for a 6x6 5-inch pad. Okay, that's about what you're looking at in terms of money. Now, that's what the money is, but the time and effort, nothing. Zero. The quality of work is going to be amazing because you already got guys who know what they're doing. So they're going to be able to finish it correctly and make it look nice and the way that you want it. The semi DIY option where you get a concrete truck, you're looking at $500. The time and effort does go up because you still have to frame your concrete yourself. You have to frame your mold. You have to grade the surface in order to put the pad down. You have to put the rock down. And when the concrete gets there from the truck, you're going to have to wheelbarrow it, most likely, to the place that you get. That's why you need the wheelbarrow. Also, the wheelbarrow could be useful for when you're grading the surface so you can take out dirt and put it somewhere else. And you have to get the concrete there, you put the concrete down, and then you start using your tools. You're probably going to have to look up some videos on how to finish concrete or watch other people finishing concrete. Or if you have a neighbor, he can help you finish it as well, if he knows what he's doing. So just under $400 or just under $500 for the semi DIY option. The full DIY option, where you're mixing the concrete yourself, again, you're probably going to have to watch videos and to see exactly what what you're doing, what you want to do on these things. But your full DIY option is about 480 to about 500 bucks. It's a little bit cheaper than the semi DIY option. So I hope that this has given you some information via whether you want to do something like this. I mean, if it were me, I would go with the semi DIY option, honestly, because with either the full DIY or semi DIY option, if you own a house, most likely you're gonna want a wheelbarrow and like 2 types of shovels anyway to do just basic yard work. And with the other concrete tools, now you have these tools, you can do them again. You can use them again if you have another thing that you need to pour. So you try, rather than pouring a little pad, you pour some stairs. Or if you want a base for a bird bath, or if you want to make the top of the bird bath or make the entire bird bath in general, like, you'll have these tools in order to help you like finish these properly. So those are the options. Personally, I would go with the semi DIY option. That way that you don't have to screw with the concrete itself. You have a company do that. And it's only a little bit more expensive than the full DIY option. Now, I will make a note about this, is that these prices are subject to change, because that's the world we live in. But right now, from my research, it shows that full DIY is cheaper than all 3 options, or all of the 3 options. But again, with time and effort, with the DIY concrete option, the full DIY concrete option, you are doing all the time and effort. So you're gonna have to spend a day grading the surface and putting down rock and framing up your stuff. And if you're good enough, if you have the motivation and whatnot, you can actually even lay your concrete down that day, finish it, make sure that it's all nice, and then 5 to 6 days later, or like a day and a half later, you can walk on it. So it's in my personal opinion, I think the semi option is the best option between the two, because yes, you're putting in an effort, but it's cheaper than a contractor coming out and doing it for you. But anyway, I hope that this was informative and helpful, and I'll see you guys on the next one.